Hello, Facebook. Going live for a Sunday sermon. Been really enjoying doing these Sunday sermons every week and talking a little bit about my spiritual truth, about the truth that I see in the Tao and reflected elsewhere, and I just love sharing that with you. Today, I kind of want to go um, off off a certain verse, and I just want to talk about the way. Um, the way is basically if there is a God in Taoism, it's the way. And if there's a God in my personal life, it's the way. Um, and the way is the Tao. And the way that I think of it is I think of it as natural law. I think of it as the laws of physics, not just as humans understand them, but divine natural law. And there's a few quotes that I'm going to use here to talk about how I see the way and what I believe about it. And so we're just going to dive in. The first thing I'm going to start with is verse 42 from the Tao. The way bears one, the one bears two, the two bear three, the three bear the 10,000 things. The 10,000 things carry the yin on their shoulders and hold in their arms the yang, whose interplay of energy makes harmony. People despise orphans, widowers, outcasts, yet that's what kings and rulers call themselves. Whatever you lose, you've won. Whatever you win, you've lost. What others teach, I say too. Violence and aggression destroy themselves. My teaching rests on that. Okay, so this is just a little introduction into one of the more powerful lenses of the way that I'm looking at it as I'm looking at it right now. The way is the cycle. It's not any phase of the cycle. And so Lao Tzu here is describing what others teach, I say too, violence and aggression destroy themselves, right? The way is the fact that these things cycle around, that they reach a fever pitch and collapse and then rebuild themselves once again, right? Whose interplay of energy makes harmony, right? The carry the yin on their shoulders and hold in their arms the yang, whose interplay of energy makes harmony. The wholeness is the components and the way they interact, the way that they create one another, the way that they shape one another, the way that they extinguish one another. This is the way. In verse 30, there's this paradox that Lao Tzu ends the verse with, and it says, "Things flourish, then perish, not the way. What's not the way soon ends." And I love this one because it's so like, how can, and Ursula Le Guin makes a similar note in her book on verse 30, actually, she puts it in verse 55. Things flourish, then perish, not the way. How can that not be the way, right? That's what Ursula says, and I agree with her. Like, how can things flourishing and not perishing not be the way? What's not the way soon ends, right? Everything that's not the way ending is part of the way, and the way contains what's not the way. And there's nothing that's not the way, which is the really fun crucible of the paradox here, and I just fucking love the Tao for this reason. It's amazing. Things flourish, then perish. The way does not flourish, then perish, right? Things flourish, then perish, not the way. The way does not flourish and perish. The way is eternal because it is the way that things flourish and perish. Okay, so this is really fun. This is how I love to play with truth and paradox. And then a friend that I just met recommended this book, which I'm loving, and it's on Lao Tzu's oral teachings. And in verse 32 of that, there's this beautiful beginning stanza. The ego says the world is vast, and that the particles which form it are tiny. When tiny particles join, it says the vast world appears. When the vast world disperses, it says tiny particles appear. And I just love this framing of it, right? Is that we talk about the oneness being made up of tiny particles, and then if we were to say that the oneness dissolves, then we're left with tiny particles, right? And that is the way. The way is the fact that nothing ever disappears. It can only change forms. And this is the basis for the faith that I exercise in my life, that this is the eternity that I believe in, the eternity of order descending into chaos, and chaos organizing itself into order. And kind of the little channel that I channeled to myself about this is, you are invited to place faith in the unerring, self-correcting, imperfect, correct way. The way does not care for your faith in it. Your faith in it is a service you do for yourself. It will happen, regardless of your permission or acceptance. Will you be okay with it? The way is nature taking its course, the result of principles of physics playing themselves out. You can trust that this will happen as it happens, as it must happen. I don't think there's more to say than that. The way endures forever. Okay, love you all. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday sermon. Bye. Happy Valentine's Day.